The rain pounded against the windows of the luxury mansion in Lekki Phase 1. Inside, Adanna pressed her back against the cold marble wall. Her hands trembled as she clutched her phone. 3 large men stood between her and the front door. Her husband, Chaik, walked slowly toward her with a smile that made her blood run cold. "Where are the documents, Adanna?" His voice was calm, too calm. She had built everything from nothing. 5 companies, 12 properties across Lagos, investments worth billions of naira. And now, the man her mother forced her to marry wanted to take it all. But let's go back to where it all started to fall apart. And before we dive into the full story, please subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment where in the world you're watching from. We'd love to know how far this tale is traveling. Grab a popcorn because what you're about to hear will question everything you think you know about people. If you've done that, let's begin. 14 months earlier, Adanna stood in her corner office on the 20th floor of her headquarters in Victoria Island. The city of Lagos stretched below her like a kingdom she had conquered. At 32 years old, she was one of the youngest billionaires in Nigeria. Her companies dealt in real estate, logistics, and technology. Her name opened doors. Her signature closed deals worth millions. "Adanna, your mother is online too," her secretary announced through the intercom. Adanna sighed. She knew what this call would be about. The same thing every call had been about for the past 6 months. "Hello, ma'am. Adanna, when will you stop this foolishness?" Her mother's voice was sharp. "You are 32 years old. You have money but no husband. What will people say?" "Mama, I'm focused on my business right now." "Business, business, business. Is business going to give me grandchildren? Is business going to take care of you when you're old?" Adanna closed her eyes. This conversation always ended the same way. "I have found a good man for you," her mother continued. "His name is Chaik. He comes from a respectable family. He has a degree from the university. He is perfect for you." "Mama, I don't want." "You will meet him next week Sunday, after church. I have already arranged everything." The line went dead. Adanna stared at her phone. Her mother had always been controlling, but this was different. This felt like a trap closing around her throat. But she was a good daughter. She had always been a good daughter. So when Sunday came, she put on her best dress and went to meet Chaik. He was handsome. She would give him that much. Tall, well-dressed, with a smile that showed perfect white teeth. They met at her mother's house in Surulere. Her mother watched them like a hawk watching its prey. "Adanna owns 5 companies," her mother bragged. "She is very successful, very hardworking." Chaik's eyes lit up when he heard about the companies. Adanna noticed. It was a small thing, a quick flash of interest that disappeared behind his charming smile, but she saw it. They dated for 3 months. Her mother pushed, her aunties pushed, even her pastor pushed. "He is a good Christian man," they all said. "You are getting older, Adanna, don't let this opportunity pass." So she married him. The wedding was big, expensive. Everyone who was anyone in Lagos attended. Adanna wore a dress that cost 3 million naira. Chaik wore a smile that never quite reached his eyes. For the first few months, everything seemed fine. Chaik was attentive, sweet. He brought her flowers, he called her beautiful. He made her mother happy. But then things started to change. It started small. "Adanna, why do you keep all the business accounts in your name only?" he asked one evening. "We are married now, we should share everything." "I've always managed my own finances," she replied carefully. His jaw tightened, but he smiled. "Of course, I understand." Then he asked for access to her company files. Then he suggested she make him a director in one of her companies. Then he wanted to be a signatory on her bank accounts. Each time, Adanna found a reason to say no. And each time, she saw the anger in his eyes grow stronger. 11 months into the marriage, Chaik stopped pretending. "Transfer everything to my name," he said one night. They were in their bedroom. His voice was cold now. No more sweetness, no more flowers. "What?" Adanna couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You heard me, all the companies, all the properties, everything, transfer them to my name." "Chaik, have you lost your mind? Those are my businesses. I built them with my own hands." He grabbed her arm, hard. "We are married. What's yours is mine. That's how marriage works." She pulled away from him. Fear crept up her spine like ice water. "I will not give you my companies." His face twisted with rage. "You will, one way or another, you will." That night, Adanna barely slept. She lay next to her husband and realized she was sleeping next to a stranger, a dangerous stranger. The next morning, while Chaik was in the shower, she made a decision. She gathered all her important documents, property deeds, company registration papers, bank statements, investment certificates, everything. She stuffed them into a large bag. "I'm going to visit my friend Ngozi," she told Chaik. "I'll be back this evening." He barely looked up from his phone. "Fine." Ngozi lived in Ikja. She had been Adanna's friend since university. She was the only person Adanna trusted completely. Keep these safe for me, Adanna said, handing her the bag. Don't tell anyone you have them, not even your husband. Ngosi's eyes widened. Adanna, what's going on? I can't explain right now, just promise me you'll keep them safe. I promise. Adanna's next stop was her lawyer's office in Ikoyi. I want to transfer all my assets to my mother's name, she told him. Prepare all the necessary documents. The lawyer frowned. Mrs. Adanna, this is a major decision. Are you sure? Very sure. How long will it take? About 2 weeks, maybe 3. Make it fast, please. She left the lawyer's office feeling lighter. She had a plan now. Once everything was in her mother's name, Chaik couldn't touch it. Then she would file for divorce and start her life over. But Adanna made one mistake, one terrible mistake. She didn't know that Chaik had installed a tracking app on her phone. He had done it months ago while she slept. He knew everywhere she went, everyone she called. That evening when she returned home, Chaik was waiting. He stood in the living room with 3 men she had never seen before. They were big, muscular, their eyes were dead. Welcome home, wife, Chaik said softly. The door slammed shut behind her. She heard the lock click. Where are my documents, Adanna? Her heart stopped. How did he know? I don't know what you're talking about. One of the men moved toward her, fast, before she could scream. He grabbed her arms and pulled them behind her back. Another man pulled out a rope. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Chaik said. Tell me where you took my property papers and this will all be over. They're not your papers, she screamed. They're mine, I built everything. He slapped her hard, her head snapped to the side. She tasted blood. They tied her hands, they tied her feet. They threw her onto the marble floor she had paid for in the house she had bought. Last chance, Chaik said. Where are the documents? She said nothing. She would never tell him. Never. What happened next was darkness. Pain, questions, more pain. The men did things that made her scream, made her beg, but she didn't tell them where the documents were. Hours passed, or maybe it was minutes. Time had no meaning anymore. Then through her pain and fear, Adanna heard something. The men were arguing with Chaik in the next room. Their voices were loud, angry. The rope on her hands had loosened. One of the men had tied it poorly. She worked her wrists back and forth, back and forth. The rope burned her skin, but she kept going. It came loose. Her hands were free. She untied her feet as quickly as her shaking fingers would allow. She could hear the men still arguing. This was her only chance. Adanna stood up, her legs almost gave out. Pain shot through her entire body, but she forced herself to move. She had to move. The back door, if she could just reach the back door. She ran, every step was agony, but she ran. She burst through the back door into the night. The rain hit her like a wall of water. Thunder roared above. Lightning split the sky. Behind her she heard shouting. She's escaping, get her. Adanna ran barefoot across the wet grass. Her designer nightgown clung to her body. Blood mixed with rainwater on her face. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she had to run. The gate, she needed to reach the gate. But her body was broken. Her legs refused to work properly. She stumbled and fell hard onto the concrete driveway. Pain exploded in her knee. There she is, one of the men shouted. She tried to stand, but her leg wouldn't support her weight. She crawled instead, dragged herself across the ground like an animal. The gate was so close, so close. She heard footsteps behind her, getting closer. With her last bit of strength, Adanna pulled herself under the gate. There was just enough space between the bottom of the gate and the ground. She squeezed through, scraping her back on the metal. She was outside the compound, but she couldn't run anymore. The street was dark, empty. Most of the houses in this part of Lekki had high walls and locked gates. Nobody would see her, nobody would help her. She heard the gate opening behind her. They were coming. Adanna dragged herself to the side of the road. There was a large dustbin there, and next to it, some thick bushes. She pushed herself into the bushes and tried to make herself invisible, tried to stop breathing so loud, tried to stop existing. The 3 men came out onto the street. Their flashlights cut through the darkness. She couldn't have gone far, one of them said. She can barely walk. They split up, 2 went left, 1 came toward her hiding spot. Adanna pressed her hand over her mouth. She could see his shoes now, expensive sneakers, getting closer, closer. The man stopped right in front of the bushes. His flashlight swept across the ground. Any second now he would find her, and this time there would be no escape. Then a car turned onto the street. Its headlights flooded the area. Someone's coming, the man hissed. He quickly moved away from the bushes and pretended to be looking at his phone. The car slowed down. Adanna's heart pounded. Should she scream? Should she try to get the driver's attention? But what if the men caught her again? What if they hurt whoever was in that car? The car stopped. A man got out. He was wearing simple clothes, jeans and a t-shirt. He looked tired. Evening, he said to the man with the flashlight. Is everything okay? You look like you lost something. My phone fell somewhere around here, the man lied. Just trying to find it. In this rain, that's tough. Let me help you look. No, the man said too quickly. I mean, no need. I'll find it, thanks. The stranger looked at him for a long moment. Then he nodded and got back in his car. But he didn't drive away. He sat there with his engine running. The man with the flashlight spoke into his phone. We have a problem. Some guy is here and he won't leave. We should go back. We'll find her tomorrow. Adanna heard them talking. They were leaving, but they would come back. She knew they would come back. The three men walked back toward her compound. She watched them go through her hiding spot. She waited until she couldn't see them anymore. The car was still there. The stranger sat inside, looking at his phone. Why wasn't he leaving? Adanna knew she had to move. She couldn't stay here. When morning came, Chike would find her. She tried to stand, but pain shot through her leg. She gasped and fell back down. The sound caught the stranger's attention. His head turned toward the bushes. No, please don't look here. But he was already getting out of the car. He was walking toward her hiding spot. Adanna's mind raced with fear. What if he was one of them? What if Chike had more men outside? What if this was all a trap? The man stopped in front of the bushes. His flashlight found her. For a moment they just stared at each other. He looked shocked. She must have looked like a horror movie. Bleeding, bruised, soaking wet, broken. Please, Adanna whispered. Her voice was raw from screaming. Please don't hurt me, I can't walk. The man's eyes widened. Hurt you, I'm not going to hurt you. He looked around quickly, then back at her. What happened? Who did this to you? She didn't answer, couldn't answer. She just stared at him with wide, terrified eyes. Listen to me, he said gently. My name is Tund. I live just down the street. You're hurt. You need help. Let me help you. No knows you might be one of them. You might take me back. One of who? Take you back where? Tund looked genuinely confused, then understanding crossed his face. Someone did this to you. Someone hurt you and you escaped. Tears streamed down Adanna's face. She nodded. Tund looked around again. The street was still empty. Listen carefully. I don't know what happened to you, but I know you can't stay here. Whoever hurt you will come back. You need somewhere safe. I have a small apartment just 5 minutes from here. You can rest there. I won't hurt you, I promise. How do I know you're telling the truth? You don't, he said honestly. But right now, I'm all you have. And if I wanted to hurt you, I could have already done it. He had a point. Adanna looked into his eyes. They were kind eyes, tired eyes, sad eyes, but not cruel eyes. Okay, she whispered. Tund moved slowly, like he was approaching a wounded animal. I'm going to pick you up now. Is that okay? She nodded. He lifted her gently. She was surprised by how carefully he handled her, like she was made of glass. He carried her to his car and placed her in the back seat. Lie down, he said, in case those men are still around. She did as he said. He covered her with a jacket that smelled like old cologne and detergent. The car started moving. Every bump in the road sent pain through her body. She bit her lip to keep from crying out. True to his word, they only drove for a few minutes. The car stopped. Tund got out and looked around carefully before opening the back door. We're here, it's safe. He lived in a small apartment building in a less expensive part of Lekki. The kind of place that regular people lived, not billionaires, not people who owned companies. He carried her up 2 flights of stairs. She could feel him breathing hard by the time they reached his door. He wasn't a big man, not like the men who had tied her up. He was average height, average build, normal. The apartment was tiny, 1 bedroom, a small living room, a kitchen that was barely big enough for 1 person, but it was clean, simple, safe. Tund laid her on his couch gently. Wait here, I'll get the first aid kit. Adanna looked around. There were pictures on the wall. A man, a woman, and a little girl. They looked happy. Was that his family? Tund returned with a white box and a bowl of warm water. This is going to hurt, he warned, but I need to clean your wounds. He was right, it hurt, but his hands were gentle, patient. He cleaned the blood from her face, her arms, her legs. He bandaged the worst cuts. He gave her painkillers and a glass of water. You should change into dry clothes, he said. I'll find something for you to wear. He brought her an old t-shirt and some shorts. They were too big, but they were dry and clean. The bathroom is there, he pointed. I'll wait out here. Adanna limped to the bathroom. She caught sight of herself in the mirror and gasped. Her face was swollen, bruised, one eye was almost shut. Her lip was split. She looked like someone else, someone broken. She changed into the clothes Tund had given her. When she came out, he had made up the couch with a pillow and blanket. You should sleep, he said. Tomorrow we'll figure out what to do. Tomorrow we'll call the police. No, Adanna said quickly. No police. Not yet. My husband, he has connections. He knows people everywhere. If we go to the police now, he'll find me. Tund frowned. Your husband did this to you. She nodded and fresh tears came. He wants my money, my companies, everything I built. My mother made me marry him, and now he wants to take it all. Your mother made you marry him? It's complicated. Tun sat down in the single chair across from the cooch. Look, I don't know you, I don't know your story, but I know what it's like to be broken by someone you trusted. There was pain in his voice, old pain. What do you mean? Adanna asked. He was quiet for a moment. My wife left me 2 years ago. She took everything, the house, the cars, the savings, all of it. Left me with nothing but my daughter and this small apartment. Why did she leave? Because I lost my job, lost my money, and she only loved me for what I could give her. His voice was bitter. She's remarried now, lives in a big house in Banana Island. Sometimes she lets me see our daughter. Sometimes she doesn't. I'm sorry, Adanna said softly. Don't be. I learned something important. I learned that some people only love what you have, not who you are. He looked at her. Sounds like your husband is the same kind of person. She nodded. He never loved me. He loved my money. Where is your family? Can they help you? Adanna laughed, but it was a sad sound. My mother, she's the one who pushed me into this marriage. She won't believe me. She'll say I'm being dramatic, that I should be a good wife and submit to my husband. What about friends? I have one friend, Ngozi. She has my documents, the important papers for my companies and properties. I was going to transfer everything to my mother's name to keep it away from Chike, but he found out somehow. Tund thought for a moment. So he doesn't have the documents yet. That's good. That means you still have power. Power? Look at me. I have nothing. I can barely walk. My own husband tried to kill me. But you're alive, Tund said firmly. You're alive and he doesn't have what he wants. That's not nothing. Adanna stared at this stranger who had saved her life. This man who had lost everything, just like she was losing everything. But there was strength in his eyes, determination. Why are you helping me? She asked. You don't even know me. Because someone should have helped me when I needed it, he said simply. But nobody did, so I know what it feels like to face your demons alone, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Somewhere in this city, Chike was probably planning his next move, probably calling in more favors, more people. He would be looking for her. But for now, in this small apartment, Adanna was safe, and she wasn't alone anymore. Could this stranger really help her get justice? Could they really fight against her powerful, connected husband and win? Morning came too quickly. Adanna woke up to the sound of a child's voice. Daddy, who is that lady on our couch? She opened her eyes. A little girl stood in the doorway. She looked about 6 years old. She wore a school uniform and carried a backpack. Her hair was braided neatly. Tund appeared behind her. Zainab, go brush your teeth. We're running late for school. But Daddy. Now, Zainab. The little girl gave Adanna one more curious look before disappearing down the hallway. Tund walked into the living room. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept much. Good morning, how are you feeling? Adanna tried to sit up. Everything hurt, like I was hit by a truck. I made some tea, and there's bread if you're hungry. Thank you, she paused. Your daughter, she's beautiful. A sad smile crossed Tund's face. She's everything to me, the only good thing that came from my marriage. Does she know about what her mother did? She knows her mother left. She doesn't know why. She thinks her mommy just got tired of living with us. He handed Adanna a cup of tea. I'll take her to school and come right back. Don't open the door for anyone. Understand? Adanna nodded. She watched through the window as Tund and his daughter left the building. The little girl held her father's hand and talked non-stop. Tund listened patiently, nodding and smiling at whatever she was saying. Adanna felt a strange ache in her chest. That should have been her life. A husband who listened. A child to love. A normal, simple life. Instead, she had billions of naira and a husband who wanted her dead. Her phone, she needed her phone, but where was it? She tried to remember. She must have dropped it when she was running, or maybe it was still in the house. Without her phone, she couldn't call Ngozi, couldn't call her lawyer, couldn't access her bank accounts. Chike had probably frozen all her cards by now anyway. He had probably told everyone she was sick, or crazy, or missing. The door opened. Adanna jumped, her heart racing, but it was just Tund. Sorry, he said, didn't mean to scare you. It's fine, I'm just jumpy. He sat down across from her. We need to talk about what happens next. You can't stay hidden forever, and your husband will be looking for you. I know. You said you have a friend who has your documents. Ngozi, right? Yes, she lives in Ikja. We should go get those documents. Then we go to the police with evidence. Show them what your husband tried to do. Adanna shook her head. It's not that simple. Chike has friends in the police, friends in government, friends everywhere. If I just walk into a police station, he'll know within an hour. So what do you suggest? I need to think, I need a plan. She looked at him. But first I need to get to Ngozi. I need those documents. Can you walk? Adanna tried to stand. Her leg almost gave out, but she forced herself to stay upright. I can manage. We'll take my car, but we need to be careful. Your husband might have people watching your friend's house. How do you know about these things? Tund smiled sadly. I watch a lot of Nollywood movies. Despite everything, Adanna almost laughed. They left the apartment an hour later. Tund gave her a cap and sunglasses to cover her bruised face. She limped to his car, trying not to show how much pain she was in. Lagos traffic was terrible as always. Cars honked. Okada riders wove dangerously between vehicles. Street hawkers tapped on windows, selling everything from phone chargers to roasted plantains. Adanna watched it all through the car window. Yesterday she had been above all this, in her air-conditioned office, in her luxury car with her driver. Now she was just another person stuck in Lagos traffic. Funny how quickly life could change. Tell me about your companies, Tund said as they waited in traffic. Why? Because I want to understand what we're fighting for, what you built. Adanna took a deep breath. I started my first company when I was 24, real estate. I bought old properties, renovated them, and sold them for profit. People laughed at me, said a young woman couldn't succeed in that business, but I proved them wrong. How? Hard work, long hours, good decisions. I wasn't afraid to take risks. She paused. Then I started a logistics company, then a tech startup, then 2 more real estate firms. By the time I was 30, I was a billionaire. That's impressive. It was everything to me. My companies were my children, my purpose, my identity. Her voice broke. And now Chaik wants to take it all, like it means nothing, like I mean nothing. Tund reached over and squeezed her hand. You're going to get it all back, I promise you that. She looked at this man who barely knew her, this man who had his own problems, his own pain, yet here he was, helping her, fighting for her. Why are you doing this? She asked again. I told you. No, tell me the real reason. Tund was quiet for a long moment. Because when my wife left, I had nobody. My family blamed me, said I should have worked harder, made more money, kept my job. Nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody cared that I was broken. I'm sorry. I tried to fight for my daughter, tried to get custody, but my ex-wife had money, had lawyers, had connections, and I had nothing, so I lost. He looked at Adanna. When I saw you last night, hiding in those bushes, broken and scared, I saw myself. And I thought maybe I can't fix my own life, but maybe I can help fix yours. Tears rolled down Adanna's cheeks. Thank you. They reached Aikcha 2 hours later. Ngozi's house was in a quiet estate. Tund parked the car down the street. Wait here, Adanna said. I'll go alone. Are you sure? If Chaik's men are watching, seeing a strange man with me will make things worse. Tund didn't look happy, but he nodded. Be careful. If anything goes wrong, scream. I'll come running. Adanna limped toward Ngozi's gate. Every step hurt, but she pushed through the pain. She pressed the buzzer. Who is it? A voice crackled through the intercom. It's Adanna. Silence, then Adanna, is that really you? Yes, please, I need to talk to you. The gate opened. Adanna walked up the driveway. Ngozi stood at the front door, her eyes wide with shock. Oh my God, Adanna, what happened to your face? Adanna collapsed into her friend's arms. All the fear, all the pain, all the anger came pouring out. She cried like she hadn't cried in years. Ngozi pulled her inside and locked the door. Tell me everything. Adanna told her about Chaik's demands, about the men, about the torture, about her escape, about Tund. Ngozi listened in horror. That monster, that evil man, we need to call the police right now. No, not yet. Chaik has connections everywhere. I need my documents first. Do you still have them? Yes, they're in my safe, but Adanna, someone came here yesterday. Adanna's blood ran cold. Who? A man. He said he was from your lawyer's office. Said you sent him to collect some documents, but I didn't trust him. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about. What did he look like? Tall, dark suit. He had a scar on his left cheek. One of the men from last night. Chaik had already sent people here. Did he leave? Adanna asked urgently. Yes, but he sat in his car outside for hours. He only left this morning. He might come back, or he might be watching the house right now. Ngozi grabbed Adanna's hands. What are you going to do? I need those documents. Then I need to disappear until I can figure out my next move. Ngozi went upstairs and came back with the bag. All of Adanna's important papers were there. Property deeds, company registrations, bank information, everything. Thank you, Adanna said. Thank you for keeping them safe. What else do you need? Money, clothes, a place to stay. I have somewhere to stay, but money would help. Chaik has probably frozen my accounts. Ngozi went to her bedroom and returned with an envelope. There's 200,000 naira here. It's all the cash I have in the house. Take it. Adanna hugged her friend. I'll pay you back, I promise. Just stay safe, please. Adanna left through the back door, just in case someone was watching the front. She circled around the estate and made her way back to Tun's car. "Did you get them?" he asked. She held up the bag. "Everything is here." "Good, now what?" "Now we fight back." Adanna's voice was strong, determined. "But we need to be smart. We need a plan that Chaik won't see coming." Tun started the car. "I know someone who might be able to help. A lawyer. He's not expensive or famous, but he's honest. And he hates corrupt people. Can we trust him? With my life, he helped me when my ex-wife took everything. He couldn't win my case, but he tried his best. Never charged me a kobo because he knew I had nothing." They drove to a small office in Yaba. The sign outside read, Emeka and Associates Legal Services. It looked nothing like the fancy law offices Adanna was used to. Emeka was a short, round man with kind eyes and a warm smile. His office was cramped and cluttered with files and law books. "Tund, my friend," he greeted them. Then he saw Adanna's face and his smile disappeared. "What happened?" They told him everything. Emeka listened carefully, taking notes. "This is attempted murder," he said when they finished. "Battery, unlawful imprisonment. We have a strong case." "But her husband has connections," Tund added. "Then we need to be strategic." Emeka looked at Adanna. "You said you were planning to transfer your assets to your mother." "Yes." "Do that, do it immediately. We'll go to my colleague's office right now and complete the paperwork. Once everything is in your mother's name, your husband has nothing to gain by hurting you." "But my mother won't understand. She'll think I'm being disrespectful to my husband." "Then don't tell her yet, just transfer everything legally. She doesn't need to know until later." It made sense. If Chaik couldn't get her money, maybe he would leave her alone. Maybe she could divorce him and start over. "What about the police?" Adanna asked. "We'll file a report, but not in Lagos. We'll go to Abuja, file it at the federal level where your husband's local connections won't help him. I have a friend there, a good officer who actually does his job." Hope. For the first time since this nightmare began, Adanna felt hope. But as they were leaving Emeka's office, Adanna's instinct kicked in. Something felt wrong. She looked down the street and saw a black SUV parked at the corner, the same type of car Chaik drove. Was someone watching them? Had Chaik already found her? Adanna froze, her hand gripped Tun's arm. "That car, the black SUV, I think someone's watching us." Tund looked where she was pointing. "Are you sure?" "Chaik drives a car exactly like that, and it's been sitting there since we arrived." Emeka stepped back inside his office and peeked through the window. "The windows are tinted. I can't see who's inside." "We need to leave," Adanna said. Her voice was shaking. "We need to leave right now." "Wait," Emeka said. "If they followed you here, they'll follow you when you leave. Let me call my security guard. He can check the car." A few minutes later, a slim man in uniform walked casually toward the SUV. He pretended to be sweeping the street. As he got closer, the SUV's engine suddenly roared to life. The car sped away, tires screeching. The security guard jogged back. "The driver took off when he saw me coming. Didn't get a good look at him, but there were 2 people inside." Adanna's legs felt weak. "They found me. Chaik found me." Tun steadied her. "How is that possible? How could he know you're here?" "I don't know, unless..." Adanna's eyes widened. "Ngozi, they must have been watching her house. They saw me leave. They followed me." "Then we can't go back to my apartment," Tun said. "It's not safe anymore." Emeka thought quickly. "I have a cousin in Aja. She has a small hotel. Nothing fancy, but it's quiet. Safe. You can stay there while we work on your case." "How much will it cost?" Adanna asked. "Don't worry about money now. We'll figure it out." They left through the back exit of Emeka's building. They walked 3 blocks before getting into Tun's car. Every shadow made Adanna jump. Every car that passed made her heart race. The drive to Aja took forever. Lagos traffic was even worse in the afternoon. Adanna kept looking over her shoulder. Was that car following them? What about that Okada? She couldn't tell anymore. Fear was making her see enemies everywhere. "Breathe," Tun said gently. "Just breathe. We're going to be okay." "How can you be so calm?" "Because panicking won't help. We need clear heads right now." He was right. Adanna forced herself to take deep breaths, to think clearly, to plan. The hotel was small and old. The paint was peeling. The sign out front was faded, but it was far from Lekki, far from Chaik, far from danger. Emeka's cousin, Blessing, was a cheerful woman in her 50s. She asked no questions when Emeka called. She just gave them a room key and told them to rest. The room was tiny. 1 bed, a small bathroom, a window that looked out at a busy street, but it had a lock on the door, and that was all that mattered. Tund insisted Adanna take the bed. He would sleep on the floor. "You don't have to do that," she protested. "You're injured, you need proper rest." "What about Zainab, your daughter, who will pick her up from school?" Tun's face fell. "My neighbor. She watches Zainab sometimes when I work late. I'll call her. He stepped outside to make the call. When he came back, he looked sad. Is everything okay? Adanna asked. Zainab wanted to know when I'm coming home. I told her I have to work late. I hate lying to her. I'm sorry, this is all my fault. You should be with your daughter, not hiding in a hotel with me. This isn't your fault. Your husband is the problem, not you. Tund sat on the edge of the bed. Besides, Zainab is safe. You're not. Right now, you need me more. That night, they ordered food from a nearby restaurant. Jollof rice and chicken. Simple food, nothing like what Adanna was used to. But it tasted better than any five-star meal she'd ever had. Maybe because she was eating it as a free woman, not as Chike's prisoner. Tell me about Zainab, Adanna said as they ate. Tund's face lit up. She's 6 years old, smart as a whip, loves to read, wants to be a doctor when she grows up. Like her father. I'm not a doctor, I'm an accountant. Well, I was an accountant before I lost my job. What happened? The company downsized, they let go of half the staff, I was one of them. He put down his fork. My wife left 3 months later, said she didn't marry me to be poor. She took Zainab and moved in with her new boyfriend, a banker, rich, successful, everything I wasn't. How did you get Zainab back? I didn't get her back, not fully. I fought for custody in court, but my ex-wife's lawyers painted me as a failure, an unemployed man living in a tiny apartment. The judge said Zainab was better off with her mother. I only get to see her on weekends, sometimes. Adanna heard the pain in his voice. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, we both know that now. They finished eating in silence. Outside, Lagos continued its never-ending noise. Car horns, generators, music from nearby bars, the sound of millions of people living their lives. Adanna wondered what Chike was doing right now. Was he looking for her? Was he angry? Scared? Did he regret what he'd done? Probably not. Men like Chike never regretted anything. What are you thinking about? Tund asked. My mother, I should call her, tell her what happened. Do you think she'll believe you? I don't know, but I have to try. Tund handed her his phone. Use mine, your husband might be tracking your number. Adanna dialed her mother's number. Her hands were shaking. The phone rang 3 times before her mother answered. Hello, who is this? Mamo, it's me, Adanna. Adanna, where have you been? Chike called me yesterday. He said you ran away. He's very worried about you. Adanna's heart sank. Of course Chike had already called. Of course he'd already started lying. Mama, listen to me. Chike is not who you think he is. He tried to hurt me. He brought men to our house. They tied me up. They beat me. Silence, then, Adanna, what nonsense are you talking? Chike is a good man, a respectable man. Mama, I'm telling you the truth. Look at my face. I'm covered in bruises. He did this to me. You're being dramatic. Every marriage has problems. You can't just run away because you had a fight with your husband. This wasn't a fight. He was trying to kill me. Adanna, lower your voice. You sound crazy. Is this how I raised you? To disrespect your husband and bring shame to our family? Tears streamed down Adanna's face. Mama, please, you have to believe me. I believe that you're confused. Marriage is hard work. You need to go home, talk to your husband, work things out like an adult. I can't go back there, he'll kill me. You're exaggerating. Chike loves you. He told me so himself. He said you've been acting strange lately, not sleeping well, saying crazy things. Maybe you need to see a doctor. Adanna couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her own mother, the woman who gave birth to her, the woman who raised her, and she believed Chike over her own daughter. I'm transferring all my properties to your name, Adanna said coldly. The paperwork should be ready in a few days. Sign it. What? Why would you do that? Because Chike wants my money. If everything is in your name, he can't take it. Adanna, you're not making any sense. Why would your husband want to steal from you? You're married. What's yours is his. Just sign the papers, Mama. Please, this is important. I don't understand any of this. Come home. Let's sit down and talk like reasonable people. Goodbye, Mama. Adanna hung up. She handed the phone back to Tund. Then she broke down completely. All the pain, all the betrayal, all the fear came pouring out. She cried until she had no tears left. Tund didn't say anything. He just sat beside her and held her hand. Sometimes, silence was the best comfort. The next morning, Emeka arrived early. He had a briefcase full of documents. I worked all night, he said. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. The transfer papers are ready. All your assets will be legally transferred to your mother's name. We just need your signature. Adanna signed everything. Each signature felt like cutting away a piece of herself, but it had to be done. Now what? She asked. Now we go to Abuja. We filed the police report. We will build a case against your husband. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning. I've booked flights for the 3 of us. Adanna looked at Tund. You don't have to come. You've done so much already. You should go back to your daughter. Zainab is fine with my neighbor for a few days, Tund said firmly. I'm not leaving you now. We're seeing this through together. That afternoon, while Tund went to check on Zainab, Adanna sat in the hotel room and thought about her life. A week ago, she had everything. Money, power, success, respect. Now she had nothing but the clothes on her back and two people who barely knew her. But maybe that wasn't nothing. Maybe friendship and loyalty were worth more than all the money in the world. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. I know where you are. You can't hide forever. Come home, or things will get worse for everyone you care about. Chike, he'd somehow gotten Tund's number. Another text came through. This time it was a photo of Ngozi's house, Ngozi's car, Ngozi walking to her front door. The message was clear. If Adanna didn't come back, Chike would hurt her friend. Adanna's hands shook. What should she do? She couldn't let Ngozi get hurt because of her, but if she went back to Chike, she would die. Tund returned an hour later. Adanna showed him the messages. His face went pale. We need to warn Ngozi, right now. They called Ngozi. She answered on the first ring. Adanna, thank God, are you okay? Listen to me carefully. You're in danger. Chike knows you helped me. He sent me photos of your house. You need to leave right now. Go stay with family, somewhere he won't find you. What? Adanna, you're scaring me. Please, just trust me. Pack a bag and go. Don't tell anyone where you're going, not even me. There was a pause, then, okay, I'll go to my sister's place in Ibadan. She's married to a soldier. I'll be safe there. Good, I'm so sorry for dragging you into this. Don't apologize, we're friends. We protect each other. Just promise me you'll be careful. I promise. After the call, Adanna felt sick. How many more people would Chike threaten? How far would he go? We need to move faster, Tund said. Every hour we wait gives him more time to hurt people. But what if the police don't believe us? What if Chike's connections reach all the way to Abuja? Then we'll find another way. We'll go to the media. We'll expose him publicly. A man like that can't survive public shame. Adanna looked at this man who had lost everything but still had hope, still had fight. He inspired something in her, something she thought she'd lost. Courage. You're right, she said. We fight with everything we have, and we don't stop until Chike pays for what he did. That night they barely slept. They went over the plan again and again. In the morning they would fly to Abuja. They would meet Emeka's police contact. They would file the report. They would start the legal battle. But in the back of Adanna's mind, one question kept repeating itself. What if it wasn't enough? What if Chike was too powerful? What if she lost everything and ended up with nothing? No, she couldn't think like that. She had to believe that justice would win, that truth would win, that good would triumph over evil. At dawn, they checked out of the hotel. Blessing gave them food for the journey and a blessing prayer. At the airport, Adanna kept her cap pulled low and her sunglasses on. Every security officer made her nervous. Every announcement made her jump, but nobody stopped them. Nobody recognized her. They boarded the plane. As Lagos disappeared beneath the clouds, Adanna took a deep breath. She was leaving the city where she'd built her empire, the city where she'd lost everything, the city where her husband had tried to destroy her. But she would be back, she would return stronger. And when she did, Chike would face justice. Tund reached over and squeezed her hand. Whatever happens, we're in this together. Adanna squeezed back, together. The plane flew north. Below them, Nigeria stretched out in all its complicated beauty. Millions of people, millions of stories. And this was just one more story. A story of betrayal and survival, of loss and hope, of darkness and light. In Abuja, Emeka was waiting at the airport. My police contact is ready to see us. His name is Inspector Okonkwo. He's one of the few honest officers left in this country. They drove to the police headquarters. It was a large, imposing building. Inside, officers moved with purpose. Phones rang. People talked. Justice, Adanna hoped, was being served. Inspector Okonkwo was a tall, serious man with grey hair. He listened to Adanna's story without interrupting. He looked at her bruises. He examined the documents she brought. He made notes. This is a serious case, he said finally. But I have to be honest with you. Your husband will fight back. He'll use every connection he has. This won't be easy. I don't care about easy, Adanna said. I care about justice. Good, because that's what we're going to get you. The inspector stood up. I'm issuing a warrant for your husband's arrest, for attempted murder, assault, and unlawful detention. He'll be picked up within 48 hours. Adanna felt a weight lift from her chest. Finally, someone was taking her seriously. Finally, someone believed her. What happens next? Tund asked. We investigate, we gather evidence. We build a case that no judge can ignore. Inspector Okonkwo looked at Adanna. But you need to prepare yourself. This will be a long fight. Months, maybe years. Your husband will try to destroy your reputation. He'll claim you're lying, that you're unstable, that you're after his money. Let him try, Adanna said. Her voice was steel. I have the truth on my side, and I'm not backing down. 2 days later, the news broke. Billionaire Lagos businessman arrested for attempted murder. It was all over the internet, on the radio, on television. Chike's face was plastered everywhere. He looked shocked in his mugshot, like he couldn't believe this was happening to him, like he thought he was above the law. Adanna watched the news in their hotel room in Abuja. Tund sat beside her. Emeka paced back and forth, talking on his phone with other lawyers. He's denied bail, Emeka announced. The judge says he's a flight risk. He'll stay in custody until the trial. Adanna closed her eyes. It was over. The nightmare was over. But even as relief flooded through her, she knew the battle wasn't finished. The trial would be brutal. Chike would fight with everything he had, and her mother still didn't believe her. What are you thinking? Tund asked. I'm thinking about what comes next. The trial, the publicity, rebuilding my life. You'll get through it. You're stronger than you know. I couldn't have done any of this without you. You saved my life, Tund. Literally saved my life. He smiled, a real smile, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. And you reminded me that life is worth fighting for, that good people still exist, that hope isn't dead. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, Abuja hummed with activity. Somewhere in Lagos, Ngozi was safe with her sister. Somewhere in a cell, Chike was realizing his empire was crumbling. Somewhere in the world, justice was being served. Adanna's phone rang. It was her mother. She almost didn't answer, but she did. Adanna, her mother's voice was small, broken. I saw the news. I saw what they arrested Chike for. Is it true? Did he really try to hurt you? Yes, Mama, I told you the truth, but you didn't believe me. Her mother started crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just wanted you to be married, to be settled. I thought Chike was a good man. I thought I was helping you. Adanna felt anger and hurt, and love all at the same time. You pushed me into a marriage that almost killed me, Mama. I know, and I will regret it for the rest of my life. Please, my daughter, please forgive me. Adanna took a deep breath. Forgiveness wouldn't come easy. Maybe it would never come fully. But her mother was still her mother, and life was too short to hold on to anger forever. We'll talk, Mama, when I come back to Lagos. We'll sit down and talk properly. Thank you, my daughter. After she hung up, Tund looked at her with understanding eyes. Family is complicated. Yes, it is. The trial took 4 months. It was brutal, just like Inspector Okonkwo predicted. Chike's lawyers tried everything. They claimed Adanna was mentally unstable. They said she'd made up the whole story. They brought witnesses who swore Chike was a perfect husband. But the evidence was too strong. The medical reports, the photos of her injuries, Ngozi's testimony, the documents proving Chike's financial motives. And finally, one of the 3 men who'd attacked Adanna agreed to testify. He'd been promised a reduced sentence. He told the court everything. The judge's verdict was unanimous, guilty on all counts. Chike was sentenced to 15 years in prison. His assets were frozen. His reputation was destroyed. Adanna stood outside the courthouse, surrounded by cameras and reporters. Tund stood beside her. Emeka stood on her other side. How do you feel? A reporter asked. I feel like justice was served, Adanna said calmly. I feel like my voice was finally heard, and I feel grateful to everyone who stood by me when I had nothing. She looked at Tund as she said those last words. He smiled. 6 months later, Adanna's life looked completely different. She'd taken back control of her companies. Her mother had signed everything back to her with apologies and tears. Business was booming again. But something had changed in Adanna. She was no longer the same woman who'd cared only about money and success. She'd learned what really mattered: people, loyalty, love, courage. She started a foundation for women escaping domestic violence. She funded shelters, lawyers, support groups. She turned her pain into purpose. And Tund, sweet, kind, brave Tund, he'd gone back to school and gotten his accounting certification updated. Adanna had hired him to manage the finances for her foundation. He was brilliant at his job. They spent more and more time together, working, talking, laughing, healing. One evening they sat in Adanna's office, the same office where this whole nightmare had started, but it felt different now. Lighter, safer. I have something to tell you, Tund said. He looked nervous. What is it? My ex-wife's new marriage fell apart. She called me last week. She wants me back. Adanna's heart dropped. Oh, what did you say? I said no, Tund smiled. I told her I've moved on, that I've found someone who sees me for who I am, not what I have. Have you? Adanna's voice was barely a whisper. Yes, he reached across the desk and took her hand. I've found someone brave and strong and beautiful. Someone who's been through darkness and came out stronger. Someone I admire more than anyone I've ever met. Adanna felt tears in her eyes, good tears this time. Tund, You don't have to say anything now, he interrupted gently. I know you need time. After everything you've been through with Chike, I just wanted you to know I'm here, whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready. Adanna stood up and walked around the desk. She stood in front of Tund and cupped his face in her hands. I'm ready, she said. Life is too short to wait for the perfect moment. You saved my life, Tund. You gave me hope when I had none. You showed me what real love looks like. Not the kind that wants to take, but the kind that wants to give. She kissed him, soft, gentle, full of promise. When they pulled apart, they were both smiling. What about Zainab? Adanna asked. What will she think? She already loves you. She talks about you all the time. The nice lady who's teaching Daddy to smile again. Adanna laughed, a real, genuine, joyful laugh. Outside, Lagos was alive with lights and noise. Inside, two broken people had found each other, had healed each other, had built something beautiful from the ashes of their pain. It wasn't a perfect ending. Life never gave perfect endings. Adanna still had nightmares sometimes. She still jumped at loud noises. She still had days when the fear came back. But she also had hope. She had purpose. She had people who loved her for who she was, not what she owned. And that, she realized, was more valuable than all the billions in the world. The story of Adanna and Chike became famous across Nigeria. Women who were suffering in silence saw her story and found the courage to speak up, to leave, to fight back, to survive. Adanna's foundation helped hundreds of women. She became a voice for the voiceless, a champion for the broken, a beacon of hope for those trapped in darkness. And through it all, Tund was by her side, her partner, her friend, her love. They got married 2 years later, a small ceremony, just close friends and family. Zainab was the flower girl. She told everyone who would listen that she'd always known her daddy and Adanna would fall in love. Adanna's mother was there too. Their relationship was still healing, still complicated, but they were trying, and that was enough. As Adanna stood at the altar, looking into Tund's eyes, she thought about that rainy night, that terrible, horrible, life-changing night. The night she'd lost everything and gained everything at the same time. She thought about the woman who'd hidden in the bushes. Broken, bleeding, terrified, that woman was gone now. In her place stood someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate. I do, she said when the pastor asked if she would take this man to be her husband. I do, Tund said, his voice strong and sure. They kissed, everyone cheered. Zainab threw petals in the air. And somewhere in some small way, justice smiled, because good had won, love had won, hope had won. The rain that had once brought terror now brought life. The darkness that had threatened to swallow her whole had given birth to light. The man who tried to destroy her had only made her stronger. This was her story, a story of survival, of courage, of redemption. A story that proved no matter how dark the night, morning always comes. No matter how heavy the burden, help is always near. No matter how broken you are, healing is possible. And most importantly, a story that proved love, the real kind of love, doesn't take. It gives, it heals, it saves. Adanna and Tund walked down the aisle hand in hand, husband and wife, partners in every sense of the word, ready to face whatever came next, together. Because they'd learned the most important lesson of all. You don't need money to be rich. You don't need power to be strong. You don't need perfection to be worthy of love. You just need courage, and hope, and people who stand by you when the whole world falls apart. That's what really matters, that's what lasts, that's what changes everything. If this story touched your heart the way it touched mine while telling it, please take a moment to hit that like button. It really helps our channel grow and allows me to bring you more amazing African folktales that carry these deep life lessons. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you never miss our next story. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. I would love to hear your thoughts on today's story. What lesson spoke to you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and try to respond to as many as I can. Also, I'm always curious to know where our beautiful family is watching from. Please drop the country where you're watching from in the comments.